think that's what's like, I don't want to say it's like a problem, but it's like a thing where it's like with social media, I feel like a lot of people get influenced to think a certain type of way or to
Yeah.
do a certain type of thing. And I feel like us as like people, we kind of like are treating everything like if it's just a trend. You know what I'm saying? Like for
Yeah.
example, like when when George Floyd died, like and Black Lives Matter was like at its at the exploding point, it was like a thing where everyone was talking about it. And
Yeah.
now I feel like it's fading away like a trend when it's still like an issue. You know what I mean? It's still like a thing that's
Yeah, it's
really
not
big
not
in this world.
it's literally they're trying to make active change every single day, and then people are like, everybody was posting the Blackout Tuesday whatever post, but like now what about it now? Nothing, bro.
That's
Yeah,
what.
I know. Everything's a fad. Everything is given like a specific window of time when it's like that's not one how anything is going to get done,
Mm-hmm.
and two, it's just not going to work. You know what I mean? Like you gotta think about things on the grand scheme of things. You gotta like one of the things right now is like read your history. Right now, it's more important than anything to read your history to understand where all these people are coming from, because all these people that either don't believe in their plight or just don't agree with it. It's like just read even a little bit, and you'll just understand where all this is coming from. Like,
True.
I mean, like the United States, the beginning of the United States when we first came over here, the whole economy was off of slave labor. Like the whole economy. Like that's not an opinion, that's fact.
Yeah,
Like
true.
you can't argue with that. So like when people are like trying to understand like where they're coming from, that's where they're coming from. They're coming from that. Just read and learn from it. And when you learn, especially history, then you're going to be able to relate better, and you're going to be able to understand where they're coming from, and you'll be able to just be more helpful in this situation.
One
Yeah.
one thing that I think that it connects really well with what you said at history is through history you can and sociology you can see the social constructs in history that were built from back in history, the way that the government and everything was set up. Like you can go through the history and as to why they decided to make the government like that, and then through that government, and then with the eyes of sociology too, then you can see, damn, like this is what's holding us back from being ourselves, and like what's making us who we are. Like when you look at sociology, you can find your place in society, and then through history you can see why you're in that place from all the way back in before.
Yeah, this reminds me of, I'm gonna botch the quote, but it's something like, he who doesn't learn from the past will forever live it, or something like that, something along those lines. I think that's true, right? I think like for example, like something like the market crashing or something like that, right? People are gonna panic, and people are gonna, they're gonna emotionally, they're gonna take out their money out of out of their investments or whatever. They're gonna take out their money out of the market. But if you see like throughout history, right, there's a it always goes up and down. Market goes up and down, and if you just know that, you'll understand that like doing like something emotionally, like where you're taking something out of, like taking all your investments out of the market, will like ultimately, like you could be making like way more, because the market's just gonna go flow up and down. And it's also like a thing where you could, like, all right, for example, like, all right, the 60s, right? They were fighting for civil rights. You could learn the 60s and what happened in the 60s, and then you could like essentially use what they did that worked successfully for these like Black Lives Matter protests and things like that. That's, you know what I mean? That's where it relates. But if someone's not learning from their past, it's kind of like a thing where you kind of stay stuck. You kind of just I feel like you don't move forward.
Yeah, and I mean like even if because there's always going to be ignorant people that just don't want to learn. Like they don't want to know the facts. They don't want to know where these where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to know any of that. They just want to be stuck in their ways and who they are. So I mean, even when there's people like that, we can still learn by looking into the history and looking into people about how to move past that and get around it, and how to make change when people just don't want to change in general. I mean, there can just be so much learned about how to go about making change when there's a certain demographic that doesn't want it in the first place. Because there's always going to be that. There's always going to be conflict no matter what. And so a big part of it is just learning how to move past that, continue to move forward, and to get better at all times. And like you said, keeping it from just being a fad.